Hello, today is January 27th, 2018, and the time is 10:27 a.m. I don't even know where to begin with this video. Yesterday, I received a letter from Professional Standards, which is Internal Affairs. I finally went through, and I couldn't even read it I did the best I could to read all 14 pages of it. And the first thing that caught my attention was the fact that the first officer that testified, the one that I allegedly assaulted and obstructed and everything else, apparently he has resigned. I'm guessing some time ago, which is interesting. Because he resigned, the professional standards investigation against him apparently hasn't even been. So that tells me that he resigned a long time ago, which leaves the second officer who didn't start the whole thing. The conclusion of their investigation was there's no merit to any of the complaints, basically. They relied on the trial judge completely dismissing my testimony, my account of events. And they referenced that several times. But that's something that I was expecting. And I'm not going to go through everything point by point, or I'll be sitting here all day. Now, but I'm going to address some key parts, and I hope this makes sense, because my head's just all over the map on this. Now, before I get into some of the key points regarding the female, and if anyone has any fucking doubt that this has nothing to do with her, well, I don't know, you're a special kind of stupid. Because the bulk of it revolved around her and allegations and all this other shit. Anyway, they jumped the gun with concluding their investigation at this time, because it was very clear to say that my appeal was the conviction was upheld in the Queen's Bench appeal. That's the first level of appeal. And I'm currently appealing the sentencing. And that part is true. It doesn't sound like they know that the Court of Appeal proceedings are pending. And they didn't help themselves by presenting this letter conclusion at this stage. It's helpful what they gave me. A lot of it has to do with the female and everything that she had alleged. And I'm going to skip around a little bit. She told the officers that I had left the organization, the mental health organization where I was working, due to alleged allegations that I was sexually abusing other women in there. and which I resigned a month before her allegation and all this other stuff. And I have the the resignation letters to prove it, and emails, and I was even invited to attend, not invited, but I was expected to come to the Christmas party towards the end of December anyway. And my whole resignation had nothing to do with the female. It had to do with working relations between the second executive director and myself. It's very clear. When I had extended my resignation because the executive director, anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole thing. This is in other videos. If you don't want to watch them because they're too long or too boring or whatever, I don't give a shit. But anyway, there is reference to her stating that I kept in touch with her to have sexual relations with her, and there was never sex. Now, during the professional standards investigation, this is what she's saying, which contradicts what the officers wrote and testified to originally. So in their original police reports in May of 2013, and their testimony, which began November 2013 and continued in January of 2015, that she denied we were having sex, she denied I was paying her, we never had sex, all this stuff. But I don't know when these nitwit internal affairs had questioned her, but she was saying that I told her not to say anything, that we were having sex, and that she knew that I was recording her and all this other shit. Well, my first lawyer, I gotta just pause here, this is gonna blend in here in a second. I was telling him that he needs to get in touch with her, and he emailed me, and we talked on the phone too about this, telling me that I need to go find her. He didn't want to. This guy didn't want to do shit for me. So that's when I went to, I don't want to disclose where, because I'm trying to keep particulars out that can tie people together. Now, if people piece this together on their own or other sources release it, I don't give a shit. I went to an area where I knew she would be, and I auto recorded that, and to ask her, and she was more than willing to speak to this first lawyer, and the next day a restraining order. And now she was telling internal affairs that she put a restraining order against me because I was still wanting to have sex with her, and that's why she put the restraining order against me, which doesn't even... I am trying to filter through lies. I don't know who's lying. I don't know if this is something the police and internal affairs are lying about, or she lied, or everyone's lying. Everyone is fucking lying. I'm the only person throughout this whole thing that has been steadfast with what happened, with a plethora of evidence, which everyone is ignoring. And everyone's ignoring that because I need to be found guilty, because I'm suing the police and the city and whatever. So they need to find me guilty. And the trial crown prosecutor brought up the lawsuit during the first time I testified, letting the judge know that I'm suing them. This is probably why they waited until the limitation period to sue expired to see if I was going to sue. Anyway, and then when I talked to this first lawyer about the restraining order and replying to it, fighting the order, he had wanted nothing to do with it. He said, don't bother, take what you can get, just be done with it, blah, 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 as if I'm fucking guilty. Then I had told him it's all lies. I'm not stalking her. Like, it's all bullshit. He emails me back. I guess he had time to think about it, saying, well, maybe you should reply, or whatever he said. Like, nobody, right from the get-go, didn't give a shit. I was guilty. I must have been guilty. I must have did something. One of the other things that she was alleged during the internal affairs investigation. Now, keep in mind, if they investigated this a few years after the fact, time is the issue. So she said that she didn't know the officers, but even in the audio recordings, she admitted to it. The second cop who testified said that he recognized her and she recognized him. She told Internal Affairs that we were having sex when the police arrived. We were having sex before, we were having sex when the police arrived. We weren't even having fucking sex. So anyway, all this bullshit, professional standards, internal affairs, is using this, all these things, to justify what those two did to me. Now keep in mind, now she also told Internal Affairs that I did not grab the officer, I did not hit the officer, I did not do any of these things, I did not try to drag him to his death, whatever, but we were having sex. So I can't very well say, well, she's telling the truth on this, see? But she's lying about this. It's either all or nothing. And that's unfortunate with how the fucking legal system works. She has to keep with her false narrative so she, in her own stupid, fucked up head, doesn't get into shit. I don't know whether I'm torn between being angry and just wanting to cry my eyes out. Nobody, when I did my closing summations, as I said in my other videos, go watch them, I only used the Crown's evidence, the officers' testimonies for the closing of the trial. All the allegations and all the audio evidence and everything else was addressed in the second voir dire. The judge admitted to being wrong. So that was already addressed. And everyone's ignoring about 30 pages of officers. I condensed 30 into 30 pages, all the inconsistencies of the two officers, their testimonies, the Crown. Nothing made sense, and nobody cares because of all these bullshit sexual allegations. You know, there was a video of Jordan Peterson, who's a shrink. I'm not going to get into that belief system. And he was being interviewed on BBC or something. And the social justice retard that he was dealing with, and everyone probably knows the video, no matter what he was saying, she was saying, well, so you're saying this? And he's like, no. We see an example of a so-called professional journalist who is no better than what we observe in universities with social justice and all these Antifa idiots, and we mock them in the universities and colleges, and we see them in demonstrations and all these women marches and anti-Trump shit, and when you try to explain to them and you present facts to them, they're delusional. And then we see an example of a so-called professional. Where do you think these university students and college students and protesters, what do you think they're drawn to? Positions of authority. No matter what evidence that you present, they just, in their own minds, spin it. Cassie J, she did the movie The Red Pill, and I have respect for her. In one of her interviews, she was saying how when she was making the movie The Red Pill, she was listening to the men's rights people she was interviewing, and she said they would say this, but she would hear that. She admitted to all this, and she shared her personal journey into, we'll say, enlightenment on the topic. Again, I have total respect for this woman. But she, as a filmmaker, professional, before her awakening, said how her mind was thinking. Now you take these same type of people and you put them in the profession of a police officer, a lawyer, a judge. No wonder daily innocent people are being convicted. Every day. There are so many stories like mine that nobody hears about. And all these people, and you wonder, well, all these people can't be evil or diabolical. Well, no. But they believe what they're doing is right for a greater cause or bigger picture or something. And as long as they feel like these social justice warriors protesting, marching, smashing buildings, burning cars, hitting people over the head with bike locks, as long as they feel they are doing the right thing, they can do anything. And just look throughout history. Wars start because of that. It's hard listening to these false narratives about me and what happened over so many years. There was a homeless woman that I made contact with her by this coffee shop where I go, and try to tell her how she's living, and I'm not going to get into her personal demons. We sat in the coffee shop. I figured that was safe, but I'm fucking stupid because I don't learn. Even in public, people form opinions. Anyway, I ran into her a few times over the months. The other evening, I had a Mr. Heater that I never used. And it's winter and it's cold. So I had given her an old sleeping bag and this Mr. Heater. Just trying to help. Last week I had this really expensive insulated work gloves, really good quality. And there's a homeless guy, and his hands were so cold. I didn't have money to buy him anything, but I gave him my gloves. And yesterday, when I was on the phone talking to a friend, that homeless female came up, and he heard her say this, like, "Can I give you a hug?" And just like, whoa, no. She's just very thankful because she said she actually slept warm, and she's living in a tent in the winter, and it's not even a four-season tent. And then I'm thinking, some busybody out there sees that, jumps to conclusions again. And now I'm terrified of that coming back to haunt me, helping somebody. It's no way to live. I woke up this morning. I must have slept on my right hand wrong because it was black and blue, red, swollen, like swollen lumps, not the whole hand. It was just like lumps were swollen. I don't know what, I've never had it this bad. So I went outside where it was cold, and I think I drained it. I must have slept on it wrong. Anyway, just wanted to share a professional standards letter. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Like if you like. If you don't, I don't give a shit. Cheers.